You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. You're probably more trained to watch the line, whereas people like us just watch the ball. So you're watching the game. No, go ahead.
So yeah, yes and no, man. It's kind of, I find myself watching the ball. It's just the way that they show only the sideline view that kind of makes it hard to watch anything else. Unfortunately, in this game, it's pretty evident that that was an issue.
Yeah. So what stood out to you specifically with the line? Well, let me ask you, what was going wrong?
Well, it looks like they didn't handle movement very well. First of all, they gave up a lot of penetration, missed assignments, but that's not even what makes me upset, or I guess I've seen you say embarrassed or even angry. It's that there seems to be no identity on this team. And that's kind of reverting back to last year, right? Not the losing. Yeah, losing sucks, and we hate losing. But when you go out and look like that, and you're letting your quarterback get hit, 12, 15 times, and you're running the ball for 1.2 yards a carry, and it's not crisp. It's not efficient. You look like you're not prepared. And at the end of the day, as we always say, coaches lose the games and players win them, especially at this level. So seems like they didn't do a very good job of being prepared or being motivated, one of the two, maybe both.
Hey, how much of what you saw do you think is fixable?
You'd like to think it's all fixable. You're playing with an offensive line that's very experienced in terms of games played. It is weird, I guess, to be back playing in front of people like that, but the things that it seemed were really giving them problems were very fundamental. Now, again, we got to give credit to UCLA. They played their asses off. I mean, that's it. They wanted to win this game. Since they saw it on the schedule, who knows, a year and a half ago, maybe?
More than that.
They knew this could be a statement game for them. LSU, I guess, maybe overlooked them a little bit. And, motivation is the name of the game in football. And if you're not motivated enough to be prepared, eventually it's going to come back to bite you. And that'll definitely happen on Saturday.
All right. I want to ask you about something in particular, because I look at this line and I don't see anybody. Well, Ed Ingram is the one guy I think who has a chance to be drafted. All the other guys aren't going to be draft picks. And I want to reference the 2011 line. I don't in any way mean this to be disrespectful, because that was an amazing unit. You all went too deep at every position, but the only guy, if I'm not mistaken, that got drafted among the two deep was Lyle Collins, who was a true freshman. I mean, you were an All-American that year, but went undrafted. So my point is, it is possible to be a really dominant line. I mean, y'all averaged 5 yards a carry that year. It is possible to be dominant, even if you don't have guys that are projected to be, NFL first-round picks. So how do you bridge that gap?
Well, first of all, great point. I mean, if you really examine it, there's only going to be a few teams who have more than one or two NFL caliber offensive linemen. There's not that many out there. Two, they freaking get scooped up by Alabama or somebody else. But to your point, it is easy, and it is usually done that way, right? It's all about. I hate to say this word; it's so cliche, but it's all about cohesion. You have to be on the same page, and especially when you're playing a team like UCLA, I feel like they were stunting guys, dropping guys, twisting guys, blitzing guys. You got to be able to pass that off. So you got to know what the guy next to you is capable of, first of all, and then how he sees it, right? Because when you're teaching an offense, there's, how do you say it? Like, there are specific points that are very black and white, but when you're talking about picking up blitzes and things like that, it can be a little bit of gray area. So sometimes guys interpret it a little bit differently. And you got to know, how each other's gonna pass things off, or how you see, for instance, number 37 for UCLA, I felt like he blitzed did 6 or 8 times, and he got through. You gotta be able to talk to the guy next to you and say, hey, let's watch this. And it didn't seem like there was any of that out there. And that leads me to believe it's really more about panic and leadership. Nobody could sit down on the bench and say, hey, guys, do this, get it together. And that's a cultural problem that's going on right now. There's nobody out there yelling, grabbing face, and saying, hey, let's do this. Who knows what that stems from, though?
Okay, so then how much does, so, the cohesion thing I think it's obviously legitimate. So how much of that has to do with Brad Davis being a new offensive line coach who's literally only been here since June?
That could be a lot of it. Of course, that's an unforeseen issue. They were kind of thrust into that. It wasn't necessarily, what I understand, something that they wanted to have to do. It was an issue that needed to be handled, and so the timing of it wasn't decided by LSU.
No, for sure. I mean, look, there was, he was fired, at least according to LSU, for cause because of a recruiting issue. But the point remains that, like, he showed up right before fall camp. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't so how much does what I'm asking is, like, how much does having a different voice at the start of the season or the start of fall camp, how much of that has to do with the issues you're describing?
Yeah, I believe it probably does. But then again, Matt, we're talking about guys that are fifth-year seniors that have played 40, 50 games. They don't need a coach to come in and motivate them or to tell them how to get right or how to tell them to be cohesive like it should have been done or should have happened at this point. You take, for instance, when 2008 or 9, there's a guy every year, right? 2009, you got who left? Herman Johnson leaves, Ryan Miller, all these guys leave. Teron Black. He's pretty much our leader. This guy's played 50-something. I think he had the record actually at 52 games.
Yeah.
So if things are going bad or things are going rough, you always had a guy, and Teron's that guy that yelling, "Hey guys, get it together! What's going on? Why are we panicking, or why are we not doing the things that we know how to do?" And I didn't see that energy from anybody on offense or defense, and that's something that LSU's always had, and it's kind of shocking to see that.
So, and a couple more minutes here with Will Blackwell, former Tiger All-American. He's on Twitter at WillieB60. I'll give him a follow. And dude, you're really one of the reasons that I love talking to you is you're like really candid. I mean, you've been very outspoken about. I mean, one of your tweets after the game was about how much and you're very vocal about Les Miles and the offense that you all ran during that time. But the interesting contrast that you mentioned was that it's a difference because at least then there was a physicality that was always established. So, to what do you attribute that, Will, and how do they fix that this year?
A couple of things, and they've always been shy about it, but I do give Les credit on a couple of things. One, he got people to go to school, and two, we were tough. But I think the latter point really is a matter of the team, our personalities, how we mesh together, and how they did a good job of finding us and putting us together, because that was kind of a mentality that everybody that I played with, especially that 2011 team, we all just kind of shared that kind of old school tough mentality. So I don't know that they necessarily instilled that mentality in us, but they knew that it was there and they kind of brought it out, which maybe they went a little overboard with the Junction City Boy practices and 30,000 Big Cat drills, but
noted.
And then most of that too was probably brought out from Tommy Moffitt, and I know that Tommy Moffitt's still doing his job. I know that hadn't changed any. So either it's the team, the kids don't necessarily have that factor, they don't want to be that way, or the coaching staff's just not doing a good job of getting through.
So if I asked you today, all right, well, you have a one-game sample. There's 11 to go for LSU. What do you think? Like, what do you think about the remainder of the season?
I would think that if we went 8-4 right now after last week, we'd be thrilled with the way that we played and the lack of energy. And I mean, how many times did Max Johnson just get slammed? Hit like you got hit with an 18-wheeler in the backfield. Poor kid, out here playing his heart out. One, nobody's making an adjustment physically, and two, doesn't seem like anybody's really making an adjustment from the coaching staff standpoint. So I don't know if maybe they just had a set idea of what they wanted to do and was scared to get away from it, or never planned on being down and didn't have a plan. So I don't know, Matt. Hopefully McNeese will be enough to give him a little bit of confidence to build on.
5 quarterback hurries. Just 2 sacks in the game, but the quarterback hits were certainly overwhelming. Hey, man, I appreciate some time as always. Here's hoping we get a chance to do this again on happier terms at some point this season. And if you get down to Baton Rouge, we'll try to hook up in studio or something like that as always. Man, we appreciate you.
For sure, man. It's always good to talk to you, bud.
Thank you, man. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.